What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Wealth Hacker Labs. I'm your gracious host, Jeff Rose. It is Tuesday, and I've got a special announcement, a very important announcement about the next economic stimulus check. So this is one that you're gonna want to know. And if you're one that likes to mark your calendar about an important date, well, this Thursday, July the 1st, is a very important date, and let me share why. But before we get into that, first, I just want to let you know, if you haven't yet checked out my Forbes column, I am writing on Forbes. I've been writing there for many years, and I just published a recent article there talking about a second stimulus check and how it seems even more likely. If you want to check out that article and other articles and also future articles, I'll have a link in the description. I don't know if you can actually subscribe to Forbes, but you can at least check out my column. I'm publishing there at least 5 or 6 articles a month, so be sure to check out that article. Once again, a link is in the description. But what are we talking about this Thursday? Like, what is the major announcement? Well, it has a lot to do with this headline right here. So here is a headline that many of you can relate to, probably applies to you as well. And if you can read the headline, I'll go ahead and highlight it here for you. But nearly half of the US population is without a job, showing how far the labor recovery has to go. And many of you are unemployed. Many of you have lost your job. Many of you have been quarantined. Many of you haven't been able to go into work. You haven't been able to do your normal commute. Many of you, your position doesn't exist. Many of you maybe went back to work, but now with the recent resurge in COVID-19 cases, now you're being forced to be shut down again. Well, what this headline is talking about was what happened, well, I mean, what has been happening, but more importantly, happening in May when it plunged to the lowest rate it's ever been. Now, there have been reports that, that jobs are being added, and I'm sure that was a lot happening before we saw the surge here in recent cases with COVID-19, and now we're seeing more employers shut down. But so this is it's been going on, and the biggest concern that many people had was if the economy does get better, if there are more jobs, there's more opportunities, then is the HEROES Act, or better said, is a second stimulus check or a second stimulus package going to happen? And I know that President Trump recently just said, I shared this in a previous video where he said that there is going to be a second package and it's going to be very generous. Didn't say how much, didn't say when, so he did say that. I wouldn't say he went on record because, he could always say, well, that's what I said then, but circumstances have changed. But he did say that, but the biggest concern was if the economy was getting back to normal, meaning that there are more jobs, less people being unemployed, would a second stimulus check not happen? And that was the biggest concern, because one of the big ingredients of the CARES Act, the current stimulus bill, is the unemployment insurance, the unemployment payments that people are getting, the $600 a week, which is set to expire at the end of July. So here in less than about 4 weeks. And there's many on the Republican side that said that they don't want to, they're just fearful to extend those benefits because they're fearful that people aren't going to go back to work, that they'll just sit home, collect their unemployment checks, and there wants to be some incentive. So that's been the big fear. So what is happening this Thursday is the announcement of the June jobs report. So this was a big deal. Back in May, it showed the country gained 2.5 million jobs. Many people are arguing, saying, well, what kind of jobs are these? Are these full-time jobs? Are these the types of jobs where people had the same benefits, like the same health insurance, the same 401k, or are these just like part-time jobs? Or are these, jobs where you're making a minimum wage, yeah, okay, maybe you're making $60,000 a year doing this, and now, okay, yeah, you can go get a job, at some factory making half of what you're making. Like, that's great, you've got a job, but you still had your income and your salary cut in half. So so yeah, that's one point that people are questioning on that number, on the 2.5 million jobs. But the concern really is that if the June jobs report comes back in a positive fashion, meaning that it's showing that the economy is improving, that things are getting better, that there will not need to be a second stimulus check. Now, I mean, I have my thoughts on how things are going to play out. It was fearful because, once again, if things did improve, then, well, how much did it improve? And going back to those May numbers, to that 2.5 million jobs added, is that really, and I'm sure many of you could say, like, hey, have you lost your job? Have you been downsized? Have you had a reduction in salary? And have you actually been able to find a replacement job that replaced your past income? And I'm curious if that has happened to you. Let me know in the comments below if you actually been able to find work during this whole pandemic. But that just was a concern, because if the jobs were improving, even though we don't know what kind of jobs, like they just want to put out some numbers, say, oh, look, May we got 2.5 million jobs added. Now we've got 2.75 million jobs added, but they're really just part-time work, and there are no benefits, and there's no health insurance and all these other things. So, but that, once again, is before the latest research and what we're seeing. I'm seeing what I think Florida, I know even here in Nashville and some other states are shutting down bars again, and just because of all the recent outbreaks. So I don't know if this is going to happen too late. I mean, here it is, June the 30th. So did we have jobs added at, like all this at the beginning of the month, and now things are getting shut down, so it's not going to play into the numbers? We're going to find out, because the announcement's going to happen July the 1st. That's when they release the June jobs report. And it may just give some reason to push back on talking about the HEROES Act, actually passing the HEROES Act, and actually issuing a second check. So once again, mark your calendars, see what the Department of Labor is going to say about those numbers on that jobs report, because that's going to be a big indicator whether, not that we ever get a second check, but how soon we actually get a second check. So that's coming on July the 1st, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot of information about it. I say July the 1st, I just want to check my calendar, because I'm thinking July the 2nd. I'm like, wait, there's not 31 days in June. So sorry, Thursday, July the 2nd is the actual day they're going to be releasing the June jobs report. So check that out, mark your calendars, and then I'm just curious to see what happens then, because I know there's going to be a lot of chatter on stimulus packages and stimulus checks, and you're going to hear a lot more information, a lot more debates going on, so stay tuned. All right, y'all, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. It's got more information coming your way. Once again, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.